absolutely. To be honest, most of the band are not really too into black metal, and most of us don't come from any sort of black metal background. Most of us have a bit more of a deathy, hardcore background. So there'll be bits of that will pop up.
Headbangers. Welcome back to the Headbangers podcast, where your hosts Nathan and Brad. Here today, we're joined by Aaron from Aubzagl. How are you doing, man?
Right.
Start off with.
Yeah, good, man. You guys all right?
Yeah, good,
doing good.
Excellent.
It's absolutely boiling in my room, but
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
It's nice to see a bit of sun in Leeds for once, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, but fuck, Jesus Christ, it's boiling.
No one needs to hear 3 Leeds accents as well at the same time. No one needs to hear that.
Oh no, I feel like it's something everyone needs to experience.
We'll put some subtitles up for those that are not from Leeds.
Oh, please
Translating. But yeah, I want to start off with like a little icebreaker. What's your funniest gig story? Obviously, you played a few shows. What's the one that sticks out to you as being the funniest?
Oh yeah, good question. I guess maybe not even funniest. It's like the most stupid. So this gig years ago, I played a band called Soul Fracture years ago, and there was an Arnie themed fancy dress gig. So every band was given an Arnie film, and you all had to dress up as characters from that film. Nice. I left it like last minute. I'd like with a lot of things. So last minute, I'd gone to Tesco beforehand and just bought loads and loads of tinfoil. So playing drums under hot lights can be hard enough, but I'd wrapped myself head to foot in tinfoil, and so I was literally cooking.
Nice.
Just cooking.
God, that must have been awful.
I bet it was absolutely boiling.
Oh, mate, that were horrific.
Where was that show?
Never did that again.
Where was the show?
It were in Manchester. It might have been Music Box.
Okay, yeah.
It were a good gig. There was Camorra, a band called Veils. I want to say someone might have been called Hospital Death. Can't remember the name. It was a good gig though.
I've heard of Gomorrah. I think they're under a different name now, aren't they? Because I think we saw them.
It's Camorra with a C, but they split up years and years ago, like an old sort of hardcore band from Manchester.
Got you.
But, they were very good. Lovely lads as well.
Oh yeah,
nice.
One thing I want to ask you as well, like as a band, what do you think it was that drew you to sort of the black metal sound? What was the sort of like initial drive that you felt from that sound, like that drew you to it?
Well, Martin, who I guess you could say is like the founding member, he just sent me a message one day. I'd not played drums for like 5 years or something. He sent us a message just saying, do you fancy starting a black metal band? Yeah, go on then, why not? that is how it started. Just fancy a black metal band. Yeah, let's do it.
Was it something that was like always like an interest for you then, like, you know, the genre of black metal, or is it something that you got into via the band and then you became like a fan of it afterwards?
I only really listened to select few black metal bands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I used to enjoy a bit of like Dark Throne and Immortal, and more recently Wolves in the Throne Room. Other than that, my black metal knowledge is so limited. Like, it's minuscule. I wouldn't even call myself a big black metal fan, but playing it as well, it's something a bit different.
I like that.
Really fun to play.
I think sometimes when you go into a genre like Blind, you know, something that you're not exactly a massive fan of, I think you can create something more interesting out of it, because, you know, if you're a massive black metal fan, especially how black metal fans get, you know, they'll want to be their favorite bands. And then
got to be true black metal.
Yeah. And it just comes across so generic and bland, because you can tell that there's ripping off somebody else that's already been done. But I think, like, I've listened to you guys' 2019 album, and it's sick, and it's quite different sounding. So you can tell that more than just black metal influences went into it. So I think it's good when bands do that, because it shows that you're not just copycatting Immortal or something.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, most of the band are not really too into black metal, and most of us don't come from any sort of black metal background. Most of us have a bit more of a deathy, hardcore background. So there'll be
makes
bits of
sense,
that bits of that will pop up.
Oh yeah,
It
I
makes a bit more
remember.
eclectic mix.
Yeah, like I remember like when I started my band, we were like our drummer Danny was more of a death metal like drummer, and we were a hardcore band. So it's like, we were hardcore. Like Jordan came from like metalcore, hardcore bands all the way from the start. I'd kind of dipped my toe into it, and then like Danny would just strip doing death metal drums to it, and it was like, this sounds like really weird, but we like that. And I think
But then that is
that's
good
the
because
importance of it. Yeah.
you'll get a little mishmash, and like you mentioned before, you might not have heard something quite like that before, or very little like that before. And then what's to say you can't have, an hardcore band that all of a sudden starts playing blast beats and then add some slams in there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Why
exactly.
the fucking not,
Yeah.
I think it adds like when because I think one thing that I think that gave Power Trip such an edge was that each one of them, when you watch their interviews with them, they were like Riley was really into his hardcore music, and that's what got him into the hardcore like sort of scene early off. But most of like the other musicians were either into like thrash, death metal, and the drummer was a punk drummer, so it added all this like really like mad mix into their sound, and I think they benefited from it, and I think you guys obviously benefit from it too. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like
hope so.
you stand out a lot more than I can say a lot of other like black metal sort of local bands that I've seen. Like I remember when I think I saw you open up for Cryptic Shift. You guys stood out some of the like one of the most to me.
Oh, cool. Thanks, man.
No worries.
We do sort of notice that ourselves, that when we play black metal gigs, we sort of stand out. So if there are bands and people there that really into the black metal, we don't feel like they're going to like us too much, because we don't take ourselves too seriously, and we're not like traditional black metal. Like there's all like D beats and stuff in there now as well, and
I think it's a lot more.
Quite like that as well. I think it's not fitting in perfectly.
It seems a lot more like open-minded now, I think, black metal than it once was. Like there's a lot of bands that are pushing it a bit and just like trying to make it do other things and just like how it once was in the 90s, for example. I mean, you'd like to say your 2019 album, like it's like as brutal as it is melodic, and I can see the death metal tinge on it more as well in times, because sometimes we listen to a black metal record, it can be sort of therapeutic and you can sit back and relax to it. But I felt this was like a proper headbanging one, like we wanted to, like, I could imagine moshing to it and like,
cool.
going crazy for it. Yeah. Cause I was going to put it on to relax. I was like just doing some work or something. I was like, oh yeah, I like black metal, just chill background and stuff like that. And I was like, nah, this is a rager. So yeah,
brilliant. Thanks,
it's
man.
cool. How was it like writing that album then? Was it a good process for you? Like, did you learn a lot from it? And like, what would you expect for the next release? Like, do you want to go down the same route or what?
Well, I mean, it's taken us years to do anything anyway. It's not that we're a lazy band, just like life gets in the way and stuff as well. So it took us, I think, like best part of 3 years to write all those just enough songs for an EP. And then since then, so what, 3 years down the line, I know COVID's been in way, but we've still only got like 3 or 4 new songs. We haven't got much. So I think we need to write a couple more. We've got some bones of some new ones. And then we should have enough for another release eventually. But the newer songs are different. So that first EP, there are some sort of traditionally black metal bits.
Yeah.
I'd say a bit of an hardcore element. But these newer songs are definitely different. They're more punchy. And yeah, let's say there's a bit more D beat in there, and a bit more like venom and fast attack, with still some of the traditional black metal elements here. But there's a definite change. I think some of the lyrics as well are definitely different. So Amara's definitely leans more into like mental health rather than again traditional black metal stuff, singing about forests and stars and churches. So there's that element of it as well, which there's that real personal touch.
Yeah. What kind of lyrics are you wanting to like cover in the new album then? Like concepts wise, anything that we can expect?
I think it's just mainly a lot of stuff that Amara's feeling.
Yeah.
So it does deal a lot with mental health. So then definitely I can hear it when she's singing, like it really comes across, like you sort of feel it. And
Yeah.
there's like some genuine anger there. And I love that when you can hear a vocalist and like really feel the words that they're saying. I absolutely love that.
But that's
Oh,
black
yeah.
metal to me. That's
Have you heard
rawness.
the band Fatalist?
Yeah, I think I've heard listened to them a couple times actually.
Yeah, we played them the other week, and Matthew, the vocalist, is another one where just throughout the entire set, like you just feel every word that he's saying. Brilliant.
Oh yeah, I like that sort of visceral sound that vocalists bring. Like I like bands that sound genuinely pissed off.
Yeah, totally.
Like they
Yeah.
genuinely walked in and like, right, I'm just gonna get out so much shit that I've been holding in.
Absolutely.
Like I think
It's
that's
like
how most,
tangible in it. You feel it.
yeah, like I feel like especially when you're in that room and you can feel like sort of, because I feel like in recordings a little bit of it's naturally lost anyway.
Yeah.
But like when you see like a band live and they're that you can feel like the genuine anger sometimes like just coming off of them, and I feel like that kind of fuels the entire like performance, and I think it rubs off on the rest of the band as well, because I feel like the rest of the band goes harder to compensate as well, like going, well,
You've got it. You've got
we
to
need
live
to
up
make
to
sure that we're all as angry. Yeah, like
yeah. Well,
so yeah,
Absolutely.
this so like I don't really listen to much death metal now because I'm not a big fan of the vocals, and maybe it's because I don't know, like gutturals and stuff like that just don't really do it for me much anymore. But going back to what you were saying about really feeling what a vocalist singing, I guess a lot of death metal, what I've listened to recently, just don't get that angry vibe, like a genuine anger, and maybe it's why I've started listening to more hardcore and even like post punk bands, because you really hear it.
Oh yeah, have you ever listened to a band called Ceremony?
Ceremony, I know the name.
Honestly, listen to after this is done, I'll send you the album to listen to.
Please
because
do.
it's genuinely, they're one of the most pissed off bands I've ever listened to. Like they've got quick songs that are like literally like a minute long each time. There's like a line that I really like that have in it where it's like, roll your fist for hate and take a swing at the world. And it's like
Nice.
it's just so impactful. And it's just like you can feel like like the genuine like sort of aggression the vocalist has while delivering that line just through the audio, and like watching the clips of them live, like the room just bursts.
It made me want to smash stuff just at home. Like, no, if you hear something like that, and I feel like picking up a chair.
Oh yeah, like because I got into hardcore like back end of 2019, and like I feel like it really changed like my perspective on music, like quite a lot, because I came from just being like a death metal kid, and then kind of found hardcore, and it was kind of what was missing. I'd always loved punk and I'd always loved metal, and I felt like hardcore now, especially like the newer stuff that's coming out, is always kind of like fallen in that in-between zone now.
Yeah.
And then like I got into the older sort of style stuff, and like it feels like as I get older, there's naturally more shit that pisses me off about the world. So I'm there like, oh yeah, you know what? That guy's saying what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you ever hear the band Weekend Nachos?
No, I've not heard of Weekend Nachos.
They're like I'll have to send you a link. They're like my world's angriest band. And oh man, the vocalist from them is just pissed off at like all the people he grew up with, and he just hates all the jocks and stuff. Oh, it's great.
Oh yeah,
and
I'll definitely have to listen to that.
They're just a killer band, and like whatever tone they've got on the guitar and bass is just unreal.
Oh yeah, I think like a lot of like the tone, especially like the tone, it's all like the old school like I notice a lot of like bands rocking like Les Pauls now, and like I never thought, I've never put two and two together. I'd never thought I'd see like heavier bands with Les Pauls. I've always kind of associated those guitars with rock, but then when you hear them, you're like, actually they fit and they look really good on stage. Like, so yeah, I think like a lot of the tone and now just being like, oh, we'll use these, and they're just using older gear and it's like, oh, it adds that sort of like, doesn't sound polished. Like you see a lot of bands rocking like, what the fuck is the name of the head? I can't remember the name of the amp head, but like, like one that's got like 20 different tones loaded on it, and it's like, all sounds all super perfect, but there's no feedback or anything like that. It's like you kind of want that.
Yeah, you need
it adds to it.
A bit raw.
Yeah, like you don't want things too polished, otherwise it's just a bit boring. Like
Same with recordings as well. Like I'm not a fan of like super clean, polished recordings because it's just too clean, and you need a bit of edge there and a bit of.
I feel like in that way, you could be like a hardcore fan making black metal, because in a way they've got the same ideologies as that now. Let's make it fucking raw. You know what I mean?
And you could probably get like a really good crossover.
Yeah.
To that.
Oh yeah. Well, there's Full of Hell. They started off as a hardcore band and then just transitioned straight into black metal. And like I wouldn't even considering them like even close to hardcore now, but like especially in the in between phase, there was just such a it's why they've got so big, because there was just such a uniqueness to them.
Yeah,
like you could listen to a Full of Hell riff or like just a drum pattern and go Full of Hell. Like there was something you could just quickly associate with them.
Yeah.
Like
they'll end up drawing fans from all different areas as well, won't they?
I think that's a good thing as well.
Oh yeah.
Same with Power Trip, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Like that, like I feel like a good band you should be able to place them in any audience, and then they can sort of still get people going.
Man, I don't know. I've played some gigs, man. I've played some gigs where you just know from the first note, you just go, let's just treat this as a free band practice.
Yeah.
Do you have like any that stick out to you as being like, oh no?
Oh, I mean,
like they just didn't go down well with the audience.
Yeah, I guess back in day, again, the band that I played in at the time, Soul Fracture, we sort of were a bit of a deafy thrash band, but we played a lot of gigs with, I guess it was like the beginning of deathcore. So it'd be a lot of just breakdown bands where it's just breakdown, maybe a bit of a blast beat, breakdown. And you'd see people, the band before us have played, and there's just people flying off the walls to them, there's fists flying around. And then we come on and you can just see gradually the room begins to empty because we're not playing a breakdown. And that's what people were there. They just wanted us to play a few chugs. We didn't do that.
Oh, yeah. I've seen so many like sort of gigs like that. Like I had a friend, and he was like, oh, come see my band. I was like, yeah. But like whoever the promoter was did not put them on the right lineup whatsoever. Like, because it's like they clashed with like every other band. They weren't like really the sound the other bands were. Like all the other bands were kind of slam. These guys were kind of like a little bit like heavier, sort of like rocker sound. So it was just like,
like a
yeah, you're
rock.
there like, why have you done this? Why have you done
what they call like massive wagons?
I'd say they were definitely, yeah, they were just all like, like the lighter tone of metal. I'd call it like dad rock cross between like
I'm just picturing Bon Jovi.
Do you know what I mean? Like no, not like Bon Jovi. They were still heavy, but just not that type of heavy. Like
no reason breakdowns then.
Yeah, like more melodic than anything, and like and they weren't like pig squealing or like that. So like I remember being sat there going, oh, whoever this promoter was.
I feel like deathcore slam
as you see more and more arms folding.
Yeah, mate. It was just one of those things where I was like, I'm gonna stay here because they're my friends. But like the room, you could feel the energy in the room just changing. I was there like, oh god, guys.
I feel like deathcore and like slam fans are there for one specific reason. It's sort of like, when you've got a kid and they just want like, nuggets and chips and that's it. It's like they're there for breakdowns and reason. If you give them anything else, then they're just going to drop out there.
It's like certain people go to a Bon Jovi gig just to hear Living on a Prayer. They'll stay there for the entire time. As soon as Living on a Prayer comes on,
they go on.
All the time before, arms folded. Don't like this guy's impressed me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, to be fair, you always get that guy at the back of the gig that's got his arms crossed like he's still waiting for Tool to come on. It's like, come on, man.
Oh, God, yeah. Always that one guy.
But what would you say has been like the biggest challenge you've had as a band then? What do you think's like been like the biggest one that you faced so far?
Ooh. I don't know. I'll tell you what's been hard since COVID's not finished, but since it's calmed down and stuff's opened up again, getting gigs has been hard. Like
Oh, really?
just getting on gigs. Like I've messaged so many promoters and emailed so many people, and it just seems really difficult to
Is that
get
due to a
gigs.
backlog?
Maybe because there's just so many bands now wanting the same thing at the same time that it's hard to get people to listen. And that's part of the thing that they've got to give up their time to listen to your stuff to go, oh, actually, yeah, I think you'll fit this lineup.
Although you guys are playing with Wolverine, aren't you? So I'll see you
Yeah, I
there.
saw you had them on. You've had them on an earlier show, haven't you?
Yeah. He's
It was
he's
like
a funny guy, Duncan.
mid-COVID.
He's really
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
And speaking of when you were talking about bands that don't massively fit, we're not the greatest fit for this gig because there's Vulvodynia, quite deathy, slammy. Pint
Yeah.
Glass, who I'd never heard of.
Oh, they're pretty good. They're like
I mean, they look like a laugh.
they're like a beat down band, and like
Yeah.
they did turn up in like high vises.
High vis and like Ardats.
Yeah, the vocalist Barney, when my band released a track, he shared it, and I was like, oh, this is fucking sick.
Yeah.
But they all seem like really sound lads, to be fair, as well. But
I think
they're
that'll be
like,
absolutely fine.
yeah, I think you guys would be fine on it, to be fair. Like, I think like where Vulvodynia's gone, they've kind of gone for that like progressive sound anyway. And I think they've deviated into different sections now.
Yeah.
So like,
And the
I feel
fan
like you
base
guys
is
will
goofy
fit
as fuck.
happily
With
in
the whole
there.
Bob the Butcher thing, you know. I don't think that the fan base would take anything that seriously. So I think it'd be good.
It'll be a good one. I think we just might stick out a little bit, but again, we don't mind that so much. And you might get a few new people that had never have seen you before.
Me and Nathan will come rage for you. You're gonna come, Nathan, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, I've
nice
got a
Yeah.
man.
Right, perfect. That's two people I know then that are coming. That's great.
But it's like, you know, like I feel like it's good to stand out sometimes. Like being that band that no one really expects on the bill, but like it gives you ample opportunity to sort of like really be like, oh, let's just fucking go for it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
which I think this will be.
Oh yeah, it's just one of those things. Like sometimes you just gotta go, fuck it, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And like then you might come out being like, you know what, I think we did fucking mint there. We got a really good reaction.
And it'd be cool if we do change a few minds, because I do think there'll be people that will look at us and instantly think, nah, not for us. But hopefully by the end, we can maybe change a few minds.
Yeah, that's it. I think I guess when you play a gig, it's like, you know, even if like everybody hates you, it's the one person that loves you, and then you've got a fan. You know what I mean?
And that's what it's about, really. If you can get one person that ends up going, do you know what? I absolutely loved that. And then it's worth it.
Yeah. No, I think it'll go down pretty well, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I think
Well, I hope
like
so.
one of the most interesting things I've ever heard someone say is like, if you're a local band, all you need is just a couple hundred people, and you can gig for most of the time. Like just like maybe like 100 people, because then you went, think about it, 50 cap venue, 50 people buy tickets, sold out. 100 cap venue, sold out. Yeah, I mean, like,
perfect. Yeah,
you can just
need,
ride
all
that.
you need is 100 friends that will all agree to come to the gig on the same night, that will actually turn up and not just go, yeah, I'll be there.
I know many people like that. I know many people like that. It's like, oh yeah, I'll be there. You look out and you're like, not there.
Can't really get out of it if you've had to buy a ticket.
Yeah, it's like, buy the ticket, send me the receipt, so I know you're definitely coming.
So, what album like changed your life? Like, if you recall, like one album that you know you sat and listened to it, and you're like, wow, this has just changed the way I think about music entirely.
Right. I know you said one. I've got two, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
So I don't know what year I were in at school. Might have been year 7 or 8. I were on holiday with mum and dad. Pretty Fly for a White Guy had been playing on MTV, and I absolutely loved it. And I saw the album in a CD shop. I was like, oh, Mum, can I get this album? She got me it. And it was Americana by The Offspring.
Yeah,
and
classic
I put that
album.
on at home, and I'd never heard anything like it before. It just absolutely blew my mind, because the album was different to Pretty Fly. That was like the light radio-friendly song. And then all of a sudden they had these fast drums and these fast guitars that I'd never listened to before. So my eyes were just like wide open. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Trying to tell all my friends, right, you've got to listen to this. And then that sort of set off the starting to listen to faster bands. And then further down the line, on a school trip somewhere, my friend gave me an headphone and went, "Hey, do you want to listen to this?" And I put it in, and it was like the opening notes from "Sick" by Slipknot.
Oh,
And
yeah.
again, and I've
Remember
been
the
playing
first time.
drums. Been playing drums for a couple of years at this point, but I didn't have a double bass pedal. I didn't even know what double bass pedal was. And I heard the double bass, and that was the moment I was like, "Oh my God, what is that?
Sounds amazing.
I need
Say
that
what
in
you
my
said
life."
about Offspring for a second there. Like I remember when I first heard Offspring, and like when people like, you know, say, "Oh, I'm not really a big fan of them," but they only listen to like, you know, Pretty Fly. I'm like, listen to like something like Bad Habits, as a Bad Habit or something, or like, you know, one of their faster songs. I'm like, because that it's like listening to an entirely different band, but they've got such a good range. But even when like I was a fucking elitist kid and I was like, I hate pop punk, but I like the Offspring. They were always like the exception. I like pop punk now, but like back in the day, I used to be like a proper fresh elitist guy, but I'm not anymore. But Offspring, you know, I always say they're probably one of the greats because they've got such a good range of music and different styles, and they do go hard on a lot of tracks, to be honest.
And they've got some absolute bangers. Like there's just
Absolutely.
some songs that are just like, "Oh, that is nice."
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what's one thing to a really interesting like deep dive to do one day. Listen to the Beastie Boys when they were a hardcore band. There's an interesting fact that one of the earliest recordings, like a blast beat, was Napalm Death, but also the Beastie Boys. They have like a little mini one in one of their tracks.
I've heard that as well.
I'll check that out.
Honestly, it's worth a deep dive because you're there like, wait a minute, the fucking Beastie Boys did this. Like, and like,
I know they came from that sort of background, but I've never listened.
Some of it's really still holds up to this day, I think. Like, and it's mad to like think these guys then later on to go like went on to like make essentially what was an early meme song was "You Gotta Fight for Your Right," which was just a joke. Like, and it's like that's what blew them up. But you're
ended up catapulting them, did it?
Oh yeah, and it's like it's so funny that when they were probably recording that, they were never even thinking that, you know, that'd be the case, or, you know, they all came from just hardcore backgrounds or just guys that just didn't take themselves too seriously, and it came through and they just wrote, "Oh, let's just make this fucking dumbass song one day," and then that was it.
And then it turns out they could write really good dumbass songs.
Yeah. Well, the later albums still hold up and they still have like that sort of like hardcore sort of sound, but listen to like some of the really, really old shit you can find. So some of it's still on YouTube. It's worth a really good deep dive one day because you're there like, mate, I've not even thought like even close to like how they were back then. It's really odd hearing it.
You know, now that you've mentioned it, to be honest, like I never really thought of Beastie Boys and hardcore together, but I've got like No Sleep Till Brooklyn playing in my head now. I'm just like, oh yeah, it does sound a bit hardcore, to be honest. I can imagine that being a track.
They've sort of just got like long held power chords going, and
even the vocals, like it's raw.
Oh yeah,
good man,
mate. Honestly, one of the best YouTube deep dives I've ever gone on to in the morning when I can't sleep. Honestly,
I end up deep diving on like drummer videos. Sounds really lame being a drummer as well. Oh yeah, I watch drumming videos, but just some of the stuff you see, and it makes you go one or two ways. Like I say, at 2 a.m. in the morning, you either get really inspired and think, I'm going to try that next band practice, or makes you never want to play again because you're never going to be able to play like that. And at my age as well, you think, I've got no chance whatsoever.
When did you first pick up the sticks?
Oh, like properly when I started high school and I got offered drum lessons, but I wanted to play from being a toddler. My mum and dad used to take me to this working men's, well, not take, we went to a working men's club, and these two guys that we knew would get up every now and again and play some songs. One of them would play drums and one of them would play an organ, and they'd just play some songs. And because we knew the guy, one time, I think this is one of my earliest memories, one time he let me sit on his knee behind the drums and hold the sticks and just start hitting the drums. I think that's probably the first time I actually hit a drum, but I knew even just looking at him like that, I want to do that. That's
an origin story, that.
Yeah, and then I pulled the stick back and smacked him in the head with it.
Yeah, it's like I see. I always wanted to be, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a guitarist. I used to beg my mum and dad for like a guitar. I've got one now. I'm teaching myself slowly. So I guess like little Nathan's like, oh yeah, I finally get to do it. But my mum and dad would be like, Well, no, because you're never gonna play. My mum and dad knew what I was like. If I got something, I'd get bored within like a week, and be like, oh yeah, I'll move on to the next thing. And like, I always like felt like I was very like musically illiterate. Like, no matter what instrument I picked up, I was there like, I can't really do this.
Is it if
But,
you
like,
couldn't pick it up straight away? Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's not for me. That.
Yeah, and like, one of those things like drums. Tried that. No coordination whatsoever. Like I could like fall off like a completely like frozen in place chair if I tried. Like honestly, like there was no way I could do that. And then like I think when I used to just sing along to like metal tracks all the time. And one of my mates were like, "Oh, you should try that out. Like actually like practice like vocals because they're not that half bad." And one of those things where it weirdly clicked. So.
What sort of vocals were it?
Gutturals and stuff like that. So I would copy Slipknot all the time. And then one of my mates one day was like, it's not half bad that. Have you ever thought about like taking lessons or something? And I would watch who's also been on the podcast, Kardashev's videos. Watching
that were a couple of episodes ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, like I think it was like 1 or 2 episodes ago.
Last. Yeah.
And I'd watch him, and that's how I learned it. It was like just one of those things that always clicked. Tried every instrument,
he's the guy,
never
man.
clicked, and then just started shouting things. I'm like, turns out I'm all right at that.
And then you picked the instrument where you never have to carry a thing in or out of a gig.
Oh mate, not gonna lie, it's class. Not gonna lie, it's class. Because then you're there.
It's a silver spoon instrument, isn't it? You just get everyone to do your bidding for you.
As soon as you've finished, you can go get yourself to the bar while everyone's still sweating, unplugging leads, taking cymbals off.
To be fair, it is a curse because as a vocalist, you always get asked, "Can you give us an hand with the drums?" And you're like, "Okay, yeah, of course I will." And you're there like, "Pass us a cymbal stand." Yeah, I did my bit. See you in a bit.
I'm off.
So yeah, it was the one instrument I was like clicked with, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, this is great actually. All I need to bring is a fucking mic." And sometimes most of the time I don't even have to bring that.
I don't get how you do it though. I can't fathom how metal vocalists make those noises. I just can't fathom how you do it.
It's mostly just like mouth and like tongue placement more than anything. Like,
is it from your diaphragm? Like, no, if you blow your vocal cords out, if you like genuinely just try and shout.
Yeah, if you do it from your throat, it'll fuck you up. Like, worst bit of like advice I ever got was from some guy who did like vocals in like a local death metal band. And he went, "Look, until you throw out your voice like 3 times, you won't be good as a vocalist." And I thought, oh, well, me absolutely trouncing my voice every time I practice is normal then. Night one.
What band is this?
I can't remember. I can't even remember their fucking
name. But he told us to the Kardashev guy, Mark, and then he was just started laughing. He was like, "No, that's just not right at all."
That does sound like terrible advice.
It is.
Mate, it was horrific. It was just like one of those things where I think met the guy on a night out. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in this band." I listened to, "Oh, that's pretty good. How do you get that good?" And he was there like, "Throw your voice out." I was like, "That's horrific."
It's like telling someone who wants to be a runner, right? You got to break your leg 3 times before you can be the world's best sprinter.
Yeah, you know that ligament, you might as well just snap it off right now.
Snap it a few times.
Just destroy that. Yeah, just rip your ACL now because I ripped my ACL like 5 times, and then now I'm the best runner in the world.
That's ridiculous.
But yeah, no, that's it. It was like horrific advice. You
dread to think how many people he's told that to.
Oh yeah, they're now fucked. Right,
that can't do vocals at all now.
Maybe it's just like part of his plan. He's just trying to like fuck everybody else up in local bands so he can be like the better one.
Gets all support slots.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's there like look, he's going up to all local bands like, "Yo, boys, think you need some practice." What?
Tapping his nose like that.
Yeah, listen to me. Throw your voice out a couple of times. They throw their voice out before they go, "Oh, well, I guess we're gonna have to bump up slots, aren't we, lads?"
Like a fucking guttural drug dealer or something, just looking shady in the corners, giving bad advice out to everyone.
Selling some dodgy guttural smack.
Yeah.
Laced with rat poison.
It's I'll tell you what is good. There's a product called Vocal Mist.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, a couple vocalists I know use it. I've tried it out. It's a bit expensive, but if you can, pay for it, I'd recommend it because it's pretty decent. I have tried it before recording. Sometimes it's like, pretty it clears your throat quite a lot.
If you play another instrument like guitars, bass drums, you're constantly paying for new equipment and upgrading stuff. So why, as a vocalist, and a different bit of money on something to keep your throat good?
It's just like it's like a sort of like a vape, but just with a shit ton of menthol, and it just kind of loosens up your throat a little bit.
I used to love menthol.
Oh mate, yeah.
When I smoked menthol cigs, call me Deirdre Barlow's.
You can't get them anymore. That's why when I did smoke and I went on the
Kind of,
vape,
if you know the right places.
I switched to rollies.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you know the right place. But yeah. What would you say, like, obviously from the black metal albums you've listened to, what would you say were probably the most important albums for you?
Ooh. This is where my knowledge of music's really shit as well, because I don't know, I forget names of things. I just end up putting an album on and not necessarily paying attention to track titles or what it's called. I'll just listen to it. But there's Wolves in the Throne Room. I'm sure it's called, is it called Cascade? Or is the track called Cascade?
I'm bad with like album names sometimes as well.
Yeah,
I think the Wolves in the Throne Room album that I've kind of fell in love with was that 2017 one. I think it was like one of the recent ones. I don't know if they might have had an album out since then, but yeah, that one.
I think they've got or they definitely had a new track out a while ago that I listened to, and I wasn't mad on it. And it sounded like there were bits like Cradle of Filth in there. I'm sure I'm thinking it right song, but it just wasn't great. I guess actually, Midian was massive when I was a teen, and it was.
I still love that album.
So good, like Cthulhu Dawn.
That goes so hard, that goes hard.
Oh yeah,
And whatever, I don't know if the album's called, is it Damned in Black, the Immortal one?
Yeah, that's a nice pick actually. A lot of people don't pick that one, but I think that's
I really
a nice little gem in there, the catalogue, you know.
Yeah, we're a friend. Well, in fact, I first heard them because they came on a free CD with Kerrang once, and there were an Immortal track on there. Like, oh my God, this is great. And then a friend just used to always have Immortal on at his house. So I end up listening to more and more. And I absolutely loved that. I'd have Emperor on as well, which I quite enjoyed. Yeah. But sometimes that went a bit too atmospheric-y for me and a bit too, with like the sort of choral stuff and wasn't as mad as that.
I've always felt like Immortal had that sort of like rock and roll vibe, and that even came forth when ABBA started doing his solo stuff. Like, you can see like influence of like Motorhead and like rock and roll riffs in there.
Got some groove.
I love like the black and roll stuff, to be honest. I think that's like an interesting sound that they continue to play around with as the albums went on. So
because they sound quite hard, but then they still have just like nice head noddy bits where it's just sort of plodding along now. Yeah, I like it.
Oh yeah. I think Immortal would definitely have some like, I think like Immortal would definitely like the one that's like, you could probably go, someone's that's like, I don't really listen to black metal. Give them that and it'd be very comfortable for them, because they are really good bands to sort of chill out to, and it's not like too like in your face, like burning down churches shit. Like, it's like, you know what, this is nice, this.
And it's kind of a cleaner sound.
Like
not too clean, but it's not, like really lo-fi, recorded in a bathroom black metal.
Yeah, recorded in like with a potato in the corner.
I always thought the Anthrax of black metal. They're just there to have fun. While the other bands are like really serious and arguing about stuff. They're just like, we just like to play and have fun. It's taking silly pictures in the woods and stuff,
And then, is it about where he runs down the hill?
Yeah,
he's running down the hill.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll forever never not laugh at that.
Well,
he's going full blown.
Fun fact, like Brad actually, for like one of my band's like music videos, we was gonna do a joke recreation of that music video, where they're hiding behind all the gravestones as well and running through the forest.
Oh yeah.
And it was like a proper heavy, like beat downy sort of song mixed with like black metal. And we thought it'd be funny to do that. And like, I think afterwards you even looked at the footage and went, it is funny, but I just don't think it'd go with the music.
So
that chase you through the woods as well. I chased you through the woods
and like we did like
so
the cartoonish running and everything. Like,
didn't you ever put it out?
No, it's somewhere.
Something happens.
Somewhere.
No, you know what happened to it, Nathan.
I didn't want to out you on the podcast, Brad.
Yeah, I lost half the footage. I completely deleted it by accident. Good.
I know it was such like the footage was so funny. Like, if no one had watched, if no one had any prior knowledge to Immortal, they'd have been like, why the fuck is this like local like beat down hardcore band popping out this? Like, what's this music video? But anyone that knew what we were referencing would have been like, this is fucking hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
It's got to see it light of day someday.
Oh mate, one day,
We'll
hopefully.
recreate it.
Oh,
Recreate it.
It's still an
Please do.
idea that I'd love to do. Like, it's just like, I like, because I like black metal, and it's always kind of snuck up in the stuff that I've written myself, and like, I'll be like, it'd be funny just one day to like pop that out and then be like, what the people got? What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So there's clearly a bit of a piss take, but like we keep mentioning whenever we're going to get around to getting some new photos done, because we haven't done any for ages. But we sort of want to just do pictures that are the most un-black metal, sort of where we're all round in like Betty's tea room or something. So there's little pinkies up, a little cup of
Nice.
tea, a little sponge cake.
Hey, well,
Right,
me and
mate.
Nathan do a photo and video, so if you need
Yeah,
if you need some fun stuff doing, where you guys?
Perfect. Yeah, right, we'll be in touch.
We've all got our own little business. You know,
Darkroom
we,
photo video.
we've
Nice little
intertwined
plug.
everything. Like, to
Nice.
do music videos and photo shoots for bands, interview bands with the podcast, so it all like sneaks into each other, really.
Perfect. Get yourself a bit of extra work out of it as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, I like that idea, to be fair. Like, I feel like the black metal scene does kind of take itself too seriously sometimes. And I always
can.
gravitate back to bands that really don't take themselves too seriously. I like when people have genuine fun on stage, because that like really comes through for me. Like, I find it boring when you just get like a band that comes on, you can tell they're just like, yeah, you know, it's like that takes the music way too seriously, and they've got a bit of an ego about them, and it just comes through sometimes on the like the performance for me, or just watching like their videos, because I'm there like, oh fuck, just have a joke. Like, at the end of the day, everyone's just kind of screaming down a microphone to like some like really chuggy riffs behind it at the end
Yeah,
of the
when
day.
you think
So like,
about it, it's
say-
silly,
like-
really.
yeah, like look at the humor behind it.
Yeah.
Like, just have fun with it, rather than be like, oh yeah, we're this occult sort of like vibe. We go for this. It's like, come on, man. Like,
But
Yeah.
for some bands that works, and it works really, really well. And
Yeah.
others it comes across as a bit triad and a bit not genuine. Not that the other bands, you know, are genuinely. Although I can't remember the name of the band, but there was a band recently that got banned from Temple of Boom because they really genuinely wanted to hang like dead rats off the belt, and Boom were having none of that.
Bloody hell.
there was
I'm interested to know who that was.
I can't
There was-
remember the name.
there was one that came in like a while back, that like was very like they like took like an hour dressing up once, and they're like they were
Oh,
proper
no.
serious about it, and it was like everyone like this was just, it was like they said it was just a crazy experience. Like, they said that they were great, but yeah, they've never had like a band that like it's like that really like they were really focused and really like into what they wanted to create everything around it, and it was like, oh wow, like these guys
This-
put a lot of thought into this.
Like something like the Infernal Sea.
Yeah, I was
mm,
just thinking about them
thing
actually.
completely works. Like, it's so good, and it
Yeah,
really
they're
works
great.
for them.
Oh
But-
yeah,
There'd be other bands that would try something similar, and I don't know, maybe they don't have the same level of ideas, or maybe they just can't pull that idea off as well as they can. But the Infernal Sea looks so good when they're playing, like, and
Yeah.
Batushka,
oh
bands
Patushka are good.
like that whole, it's almost like an experience rather than
Yeah,
just going
same
to
with
watch a band.
Behemoth as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that totally works for them. But if you're
Oh,
a
yeah.
low-level local band and you try something like that, you just look like morons.
Yeah, well, I think like it. I think it depends, because like if someone also like makes a joke about it when you're a local band, like at least then it doesn't say it. Like, I think like if it's all about execution, like that band that
Yeah,
I was on about, then they executed it really well, and like it just kind of took everyone back, because they were there like, what, they thought fucking everything, like, and it was like we've never really had many bands
Yeah.
turn up and go, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this. I thought about this, thought about this. It's like normally it's like, what do you want to even do for lighting? It's like, just for like,
normally don't care.
yeah,
Shoving
get
red
to
light
touch
on.
some up.
even to like down to the lighting, they're like, oh, we want this lighting. It's like, fucking, all right, yeah, you know, like, no worries. Like, so
It
I
is
think
playing
And
the
then if
part.
they pull it off,
Yeah, I mean, they did put I
Fair
think it
enough.
was a live stream gig they did, and they're like, okay, well, it's they were one of their best ones I watched really, because it was very interesting, like the
Is that
amount of
Temple of
thought,
Boom?
amount of
Yeah,
thought that
'cause
went into it.
they did it through COVID, didn't they? And put loads of like
Mm.
live stream gigs on.
Oh yeah, I think Boom is my favorite venue because
Oh, it's great.
they think about everything that they put on insane bands, and they're like, I think anyone that's like into like heavy music in Leeds always has like has an incredible memory from there.
Yeah.
I remember when I saw that. I've seen so many bands that I've been like a massive fan of there,
Yeah.
and like when COVID happened, I was like, look, if Temple Boone shuts down, like that is it.
It
I'd
nearly
be
did.
so devastated. I was like, I'd be so devastated if
Me
it did.
too.
What if it did during them? But I was
Yeah.
like so happy that it didn't.
I think it's along with, I love Fenton, but along with Brudenell, Temple of
Brudenell's
Boom's
nice,
up there with
yeah.
my favourite Leeds venues. But it's run by like all the people that run it are just so nice. And
Yeah, absolutely.
everything about that venue is just really cool.
Well, to be
Oh,
honest,
yeah.
like we got in contact about merch because we're launching it very soon. We've got like the box from it, and it like they did it so fast in the process of Nathan sending an email saying, "Yeah, could you get this sorted? Is it going to be okay?" And then just like straight away, the same week, I think we had it by Friday. So we went to go see Jesus
Yeah.
Peace on Friday, which was sick. And then right after the gig, we just right behind the bar, got our stuff, and it was just like such a smooth process, and they're really nice about it. So honestly, can't sing enough praise about Boom. It's just the place to be for metal and Leeds and hardcore.
Yeah, the great. It's definitely taken over, I think, as like the place for those sort of tours coming through. It don't matter what it is, whether it's just a metal, a deathcore band, an hardcore band. Like it just seems to cater for everyone, and it's got. I love that sort of beer cellar feel. You know, main room like that, just concrete floor and walls.
Oh yeah, it genuinely is the best place, I think, hands down. Like there's so many like venues I've been to, but every time there's a gig there, I always go because it's like, hey, it's Boom, like it's fucking sick. Like there's certain like I just think it just does everything so well. Like even with merch, like the first track I ever recorded was upstairs in the studio there. So it's every single like part of it, like me getting into music and like wanting to be a vocalist, all kind of started from watching bands then and stuff like that. So it's always just been like
It's got like sentimental value for you then.
Mate, massively. Like it's like band like recorded upstairs. The merch was printed, like from a podcast were printed there. I've seen countless bands that I've then interviewed and become fans of there. It's just like honestly it's my favorite place.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Thank God it ended up staying open.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Very thankful.
Like we played there last week before, and it were amazing. Have you ever heard of a band called Razor Eater?
They've popped up in I think they popped up on like my Facebook with like some of my friends sharing them.
Right.
I've never listened.
They're the first band in ages where I stood watching them and just it has kicked my face in. Just for not just for them being loud, but like how tight they were. And it's just like punishing grindcore that's just played so fast and tight. It's like prime Pig Destroyer. And the drummer is incredible. They're so good. I've listened to them so much since then.
Oh yeah, there's so many bands like that for me where I had no bearing of like what they sounded like before and didn't listen to them before, and then I turned up like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah, that's exactly what they were. And it was just I stood and watched the whole thing because occasionally I'll watch the first couple of songs, and if I'm not into it, I might nip for a drink or nip outside or so. But I'll always watch at least some. But they just started, and it was like, wow.
Oh yeah,
these
all
are
those ones
special.
Yeah, it's like your mates taps you on the shoulder, like, do you want to go for a pint? You're like, wait a fucking minute.
Yeah, I think there's at least 3 songs left here. Although there's a grindcore band that might be a minute.
Yeah. It's like, I remember Suffocation. Like they were a band that did that for me. Like went to see them, never listened to them before, just because it was like a gig on. I'd never been to one before, so I was like, yeah. And I remember as soon as they played, I was like, fuck, what the fuck is this? And
they
like
played at Eiger a few years ago, didn't they?
That was the show, yeah.
Was that
That
the
was the
gig?
show. Yeah.
I
That was
ca-
like the first metal show I'd ever been to.
It's hard to fathom that Suffocation played in Eiger.
Oh,
I know,
that's
it really is.
That's when my band used to practice all the time. So
Yeah, we
they're
used to
like,
practice there as well.
like it was I always like struggle to think back to it because Eiger's like one of those really out the way venues too. Like
It kind
Yeah.
of is. Like, it's, even though it's not too far from city centre, most people aren't going to want to travel to Leeds and then further afield. And it's not a big room.
Yeah, strange
Uh,
placement for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't go, but that would have been right
Mate.
up there, I think, for top gigs.
Mate, it was unreal. And like looking back on it as well, like a lot of people that I'm now like really good friends with were there, and I didn't even know them at the time. Like Cryptic Shift, we you know like we've interviewed them, and like
Yeah,
they've been really nice guys to us, and every time we see them at shows, we always say hi to each other, and like had really good chats with them. They were there, you know, like one of my mates, Jed, he was there. And I always used to joke like, oh yeah, he's like my metal guardian angel, because whenever he's at a gig I'm at, I know it's going to be a good one. And I never spoke to him like all the way through that time. And then like one day we were at like a bar and I just started chatting to him. And like now I'm like really good friends with him. It's like it was just crazy looking back
that's
at that
nice,
one
isn't it?
gig that all the people that were there that I now know and had no clue who the fuck they were at the time.
And did you say that was
Yeah.
your first
Yeah,
metal gig?
first
What a
ever
gig
one.
to start with?
Insane.
Yeah, first one.
That's a good one. What were your first metal gig?
My first metal gig. So my first gig was actually not even metal related. My first gig was actually Nero. Do you remember that dubstep artist from like ages ago?
Bro.
I was in
Oh.
like year 9 at the time, and I got invited to go with my mate, so I went to that. And then Billy Talent was my next one.
Oh,
And
yeah.
after that, I was like starting to get into metal on that year. It was like kind of things were just happening fast, listening to all these bands. And I went to Download 2012, and there's like Metallica, Black Sabbath, Prodigy. You had like Tenacious D, Machine Head, Lamb of God, Trivium on. Bearing in mind, I had no idea who any of these people were.
Chucking
I
yourself in
didn't
deep
realize
end
how
there.
big they. Yeah, it was fucking mental. Because I think the first pit I saw was like Machine Head, and there had like 8 of them going at the same time. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then yeah, I was just a fan since then. And I went to like quite a few gigs after that, and then the rest is history. But yeah, it was
That's
honestly
all right, that.
the only thing I regret is that I didn't really know much of the Download 2012 lineup. And now looking back at it, being a massive fan of all these bands, it was absolutely stacked. So I'm just like, fuck's sake.
Yeah, you look and think there's so many bands I'd have loved to have watched that day, or ones
Yeah.
that are not quite blown up yet. I could have
Yeah.
seen in a tiny little tent.
Especially stuff like Soundgarden, which obviously Chris Cornell died, and I'm never going to get to
Yeah.
see them now. And I had no idea who the fuck they were.
Yeah,
God.
that's it. That's it. We're looking back in it and hindsight, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What was your first sort of metal gig as well?
It was. Have you heard the Berserker?
Yes. Yeah,
Ah.
I've heard of it before.
I'd read that they had. I don't know how old they were, about 15, and I'd heard that they had the world's unofficial fastest drummer. I knew no else about them, so I went with a friend, and just this like crazy fast, like it's almost like techno grindcore, and it
Nice.
was just amazing. But I had the worst fashion sense at the time. Like I wore these button-up bright green shirt, and every other person there's in black and looking like a hench mosher. And there's little weedy me with my button-up bright green shirt. Hey guys.
Nice.
That was like me at the Suffocation show. I turned up with a Korn shirt, and like I was getting like all the looks from like all these like death metal guys. Like, who the fuck's this kid?
With illegible band logos and
Yeah, like I was just
Yeah,
there,
Funny
like,
times.
and then I like bought like a shirt that I never wore because it was like a Slam shirt, and it was just too. There was no setting where I could have worn it. Like it was just too gruesome. Like there was no way I couldn't go to a meal and wear that. I couldn't like even chill out and wear that because my mum like, what the fuck is on your shirt? So like I was there like
It's always the
never
slam
wore
ones,
it.
isn't it?
It was a Visions of Disfigurement shirt. I've still got it somewhere like in my wardrobe, like way at the bottom. I never got the chance to wear it because it was like very fucking like gruesome. So I was there like I was like, I mean like, yeah, I got to support the band, but I'm like, I where am I going to wear this? I can't wear this at work either.
Yeah. Some things you don't think
There's gonna
about
be
when you.
There's going to be a day soon where there's going to be a gig and you're going to go, let's
Time
bust
to
out
dust
the
it off.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I've got the this dying fetus shirt that I once wore on a night out and was getting so many dirty looks from it. It's the Kill Your Mother Shaggy Dog.
Oh my
shirt.
God. I didn't realize I forgot you had that shirt.
Yeah, I've got it,
hell.
and like
You
even
can never
I'm
wear
now,
that.
I'm there, like I'm never wearing that again.
But you got to keep it forever because that's the legendary
is-
shirt.
It's a funny shirt. I got
Frame
it when I discovered in Pericon, but it's just like I'm like I look at it now, like when I'm going through all my shirts to wear, I'm like the fact that I had the gall to fucking wear this on a night out, then wonder why people were giving me weird looks.
Yeah,
It's
they're the
me.
weird ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're like I was like, what? It's a great band, and then now looking back, going, yeah, I'd have looked at me weird now. Why?
Fuck's sake.
Wow.
So we are sort of getting to the end point interview now.
Yeah,
one
cool.
thing that we always like to leave it on is what advice would he give to younger self, and what advice would he give to a new musician starting out?
Ooh, really boring. Practice.
I mean,
Practice. Don't be a dick to other bands at gigs. Say thank you if someone lends you something, or you use their heads, or use their drum kit. And what I were guilty of whenever I recorded anything years and years ago, I had a very much that'll do attitude. Once I've played for it, once that'll do. And then you listen back years later and you just, I can't believe I even thought that was worth putting out because it's so bad. I can hear every mistake. So record everything 4 or 5 times till you play it actually well.
Yeah. That's lessons for everything, isn't it, really? Just like don't settle and just say things will be okay. Just like go back and make sure you perfected it.
Don't say that'll do. At least be able to say, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We
Never done all like this before, so.
We will come down and see you.
Yeah, come. We'll
see what it's about.
Say hello and have a beer.
Definitely, man.
Awesome.
Definitely. Try to get the Wolverine guys down as well.
You have to introduce us because I'll be too shy and won't want to say hello. I heard you on their podcast.
The one I'm just paranoid, like, because like we haven't really met many bands that we've like interviewed in person.
We did Infernal Sea, and he was like proper solid. Yeah.
But like we get that paranoid about going, oh, it's us from like Headbangers, and it's like we can't help but to just say, do you remember us? You know what I mean? Because it's like they do those press tours, and it's so long and drawn out. So like, if anything, we're also very nervous to like meeting Wolverine for the like first time as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet they'll be lovely, really.
Yeah, he will be, I think. Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, it was great. It was great having you on, man. I'm excited to see what you guys push out in the future. I'm excited to listen to a few of those new songs as well.
Yeah, well, I think I'll play 2 or 3 of them in a couple of weeks.
Excellent. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Yeah, thank you so much. You smashed it.
No worries. Thanks for having me on.
No worries.